Hello everybody, Starkiller, so welcome back to another Warcraft video. Today we're going to be continuing our mount collection series by looking at all the mounts which are obtainable from loot. In other words, mounts obtained from miscellaneous scenarios, instances, world bosses, dungeons, world drops or zones, raid bosses, time warp, dungeon drops, all of that sort of thing. So let's get right into it. So to go for the miscellaneous scenario and instance drops, there's only one for this one, which is the Male Muncher. This is obtained from the Male Muncher very rare spawn in Horrific Visions, and if you kill it you have a 100% chance of getting the mount. Now moving on to world bosses and rare drops, of course these are mounts which are dropped by either world bosses or rare spawn mounts in the world. And we are starting off with the Drake of the Four Winds. This one is obtained from a very rare elite, which is Ishak of the Four Winds, in the Enzoth Assault phase of Uldum. Rajani War Serpent. This mount is purchased from Zanku, but in order to purchase this, you'll have to defeat a rare spawn in the Vale of the Eternal Blossoms called Rai Lun in Go Lei Halls during the Motion Assault phase. This will drop a pristine Cloud Serpent scale, which you will then hand over to Rylon in the Goleo Halls to purchase this mount. Time Lost Proto Drake. Now this one is looted from a rare spawn called the Time Lost Proto Drake in the Storm Peaks. It spawns every couple of hours in the Storm Peaks and follows a very specific path, which you will see on the screen now. And you just have to be extremely lucky in order to find this mount, as it does have a 100% drop chance if you kill it. Phosphorescent Stone Drake. Now this is obtained from killing the extremely rare spawn Aranax in Deep Home. There is a number of places where Aranax will spawn, as shown on screen now, and has a respawn time of 2 to 8 hours. Subdued Seahorse. This one is looted from the rare spawn Poseidus in the Shimmering Expanse and the Abyssal Depths. This spawn has a respawn time of between 2 to 8 hours and has a 100% drop rate of this mount, and its locations are shown on screen. Next up we have Son of Galleon. This is obtained from killing Galleon in the Valley of the Four Winds with a 100% drop chance and has a respawn timer of 48 hours. Next up we have the Heavenly Onyx Cloud Serpent. This is obtained from killing the rare spawn Shah of Anger in the Kunlai Summit, and who has a respawn timer of approximately 15 minutes. And then you have the Thundering Cobalt Cloud Serpent. This is obtained from the rare spawn Nalak on the Isle of Thunder, who has a respawn time of 10 to 20 minutes. Thundering Ruby Cloud Serpent. Now this is a guaranteed drop from killing the rare spawn Eleni, the Stormborn, in Valley of the Eternal Blossoms. This one has quite a large area of spawn and does travel around, as you can see on screen now. So this one will be extremely hard to find. But before you can either kill this one, you will need to have obtained 10 Sky Crystals, which are an extremely rare loot from any mob in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. But also you have to be really careful when killing this one, as if you do it with anyone else, they may be able to steal this mount from you. Cobalt Primordial Direhorn. Now this is dropped from the war boss Undaska on the Isle of the Giants. This has an approximate drop rating of 1%, and the boss itself, Undaska, will respawn every 15 minutes. Then you have the Amber, Jade and Slate Primordial Direhorn. Now these are all obtained from killing the Zandalari Warbringers in Pandaria. Each of them will spawn with a randomly coloured Direhorn, and each time it spawns it has a chance to spawn as any of the different colours. So it means it will require you to kill multiple of these to get all 3 coloured mounts, and each mount, once you kill the boss, has a 4% drop rate each. Thundering Onyx Cloud Serpent. Now this is obtained as a rare drop from Hualon in the Timeless Isles. These will spawn around every 30 to 60 minutes and has a drop rate of 0.9%. Then we have the Bloodhoof Bull, which is dropped from Nak the Thunderer in Nagrand. This one has a 100% drop rate for every player who hits it, and has a respawn time of 19 to 30 hours. Next up we have the Malted Meadow Stomper, which is obtained from a Luckhawk in the Grand. This will have again a 100% drop chance from every player who tags it. And then we have the Great Grey Tusk. This is obtained from Gurok in the Frostfire Ridge, and again has a 100% drop rate for every player who tags it, and this one again has a 19 to 30 hour respawn. Warlord's Adrenal World Boss mounts. Now these are mounts which are obtained from the World Bosses Vengeance, Death Talon, Terror Fist and Doom Roller, all of those located in the Tanan jungle. Each one has a 15% chance of dropping the Rattling Iron Cage, which will guarantee you one of the following mounts. Those bosses are only lootable once per day. The mounts themselves are Tundra Icehoof, Armoured Razorback and the Warsong Direfang. Sapphire River Beast. This is obtained from killing Sylphide in Talador, and once you kill this mount you will get a 100% chance of getting the mount, and it will spawn every 19 to 30 hours. Then you have the Sunhide Gronling, which will be obtained from Pound Fist in Gorgrond. This one again has a 100% drop rate for every player who attacks it. Next up we have the Solar Spirehawk. This is obtained as an extremely rare drop from Rukmar, a world boss in the Spires of Iraq, and has a drop rate of around 1%. Next up we have the Swift Breeze Strider. This is obtained from Pathrunner in Shadowmoon Valley, and again has a 100% drop rate to all players who tag them, and has a respawn timer of 19 to 30 hours. And then we have the Garn Night Howl, which is dropped by Nock Garrosh in Frostfire Ridge. This one drops at a 100% drop rate, but if it is killed in a team, the mount will only drop for one member of the team. Acid Belcher. Now this mount is obtained by killing Screg the Devourer in Macari, and has an approximate drop rate of 3%. Next up we have the Bile Tooth Gnasher. This one is obtained from killing either Pushzilla or Vraxful in the Antoran Wastes, and has an approximate drop rate of 4%. Next up we have the Crimson Slavermaw. This one is dropped from Blistermaw in the Antoran Wastes. This one has a drop rate of 3%. Next up we have the Vile Fiend, which is obtained from Houndmaster Karax in the Antoran Wastes. This one has an approximate drop rate of 4%. And then we have the Maddening Chaos Runner, which is obtained from Wrangler Kravos in Macari at an approximate rate of 4%, and is the only Talbuk mount that has no saddle or harness. The Lambent Mana Ray. This is obtained as an extremely rare drop from the rare spawn Venomtail Skyfin in Macari, and it is dropped at an approximate 3% drop rate. Then we have the Nazjatar Blood Serpent. This is dropped from the rare spawn Aberrant of the Abyss, and has a spawn rate of approximately 50% drop rate even. Next we have the Witherbark Direwing. This is dropped from Namir the Slayer in the Arathi Highlands, and has a drop rate of approximately 6%. Highland Mustang. Now this is obtained from killing the Doom Rider Helgrim in Gersek Farm in the Arathi Highlands. This one is Alliance exclusive and has a drop rate of 7%. Next up we have the Broken Highland Mustang. This is obtained from Knight Captain Aldrin in Dendry's Farmstead in the Arathi Highlands, and has a drop rate of 7% and is Horde exclusive. Next up we have Little Donkey. This one is obtained from the rare spawn Overseer Crix in Dry Whiskey Mine in the Arathi Highlands. This one has a drop percentage of around 7%. Next up we have the Swift Albino Raptor, which is probably one of the better looking in the game. This is dropped by Beast Strider Karma in the Arathi Highlands at a drop rate of 6%. Next up the Skull Ripper. This is dropped from Skull Ripper in Arathi Highlands at a drop rate of 6%. Then we have Blackpaw. This is dropped if you are Alliance for Agatha Windwood, and Blackpaw for the Horde from the new Darkshore Warfront. It also may require your faction to have control of the Warfront in order to kill the correct NPC, and this has a drop rate of 6%. And then we have the Ashen Vale Chimera, which is dropped from Alashania in Darkshore, which is a rare spawn, and this one has a 6% drop rate. Calderai Nightsaber. Now this is obtained rarely from Shadowclaw in Darkshore for the Horde, or Cross Blugrage in Darkshore for the Alliance. This one is dropped at an approximate drop rate of 6%. Next up we have the Umber Nightsaber, which for the Alliance is dropped by Moxo the Beheader in Darkshore, and for the Horde is Alfie Dewfire, which is dropped from either NPC at 5%. Next up we have the Frightened Kodo, which is obtained from the Frightened Kodo in Darkshore. Now this one doesn't actually require you to kill an NPC, rather you will randomly see, very rarely, a NPC called the Frightened Kodo rampaging around Darkshore, which if you intercept the Kodo and manage to calm it down, will grant you the mount. Next up we have the Junk Heap Drifter. This one is obtained from a rare spawn NPC called Rustfeather on Mechagon, and is achieved at a drop rate of 0.5%. Next up we have the Rusty Mecha Crawler. This one is obtained from an extremely rare NPC spawn called Arachnoid Harvester in Mechagon. Alternative timeline as well, so if you are there when Cremy is present in Rustbolt, you can speak to her and go to the other timeline as well. They're dropped by both NPCs at a drop rate of approximately 0.3%. Then we have the Silent Glider. This one is obtained from killing the rare spawn NPC in Nazjatar called Soundless at a drop rate of 0.6%. Molly, which is one of the alpaca mounts. This is obtained as a rare drop from Dune Gorger Grorlock in Voldoon at a drop rate of around 1%. However, as this is dropped from a world boss, the world boss which dropped this is only available for 1 week out of every 6. So if you miss it, you're going to have a long wait. Next up we have the Malevolent Drone. This is an extremely rare drop from the mob Corpse Eater, which is a rare spawn during the Akia Assault phase in Western Oldham at a drop rate of 1%. Next up we have the Ivory Cloud Serpent. This one is quite complicated to obtain. In order to get this mount, you'll have to first obtain a Zan tier lasso, which is an extremely rare drop from the hostile Mogu, which appear during the Mogul assaults in the west of the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. You must then use this lasso on the Ivory Cloud Serpent, a rare NPC which will spawn during the assault. This has a respawn time between 1.5 to 2.5 hours at coordinates 2755, and it will spawn roughly 2 to 3 times the height of the tree. It will do a clockwise circuit around until one player lassos it, but multiple players can lasso it at the same time, and as soon as it is lassoed, it will only be available for a couple of seconds before despawning. Next up we have the Wren's Stalwart Hound. This is obtained as a rare drop from Houndlord Wren, who is only available during the ends-off assault phase of the Mogul assault at a drop rate of 3%. Next up we have Jinliao, which is obtained as a rare drop from Andy the Loyal in Vale of Eternal Blossoms during the ends-off assault phase Mogul assault at a drop rate of 3%. Then we have the Clutch of Halu, which is obtained from Halu in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms during the ends-off assault phase Mogul assault only at a drop rate of 3%. Then we have the Waste Marauder, which is obtained from the rare NPC Rotfester which spawns during the ends-off assault phase of Uldum at an approximate drop rate of 3%. Fell Spotted Egg Mana Ray mounts. Now these Fell Spotted eggs are from Argus and have a chance to hatch any of the 4 mounts which we will discuss in a minute. The eggs have a rare chance to drop from specific rares on Argus, these being Varga, which will drop them at a 37% rate. Then you have Narua, which will drop them again at a 39% rate. And then you have Sabul, which will drop them at a 43% chance. It's very possible as well to get the same amount twice, unfortunately, which will mean you will get companion pets and some junk items as well. The possible mana rays which you will get are the Darkspawn mana ray, Felglow Mana Ray, Scintillating Mana Ray, and the Vibrant Mana Ray. Next up we have the random world or zone mount drops. The first one being Leaping Vein-Seeker. This is obtained from any aggressive NPC in Nazmir at an approximate drop rate of 0.1%. Then you have Golden Mane. This is obtained from any aggressive NPC in Stormsong at an approximate rate of 0.1%. And then you have the Terrified Pack Mule, which is a zone drop in Justfar at an approximate drop rate of 0.1%. And then we have the Dune Scavenger, which is obtainable from aggressive NPCs in Voldun at a 0.1% drop rate. Cracked Primal Eggs. Now these eggs are an extremely rare drop from Devil Saws, Dino Horns and Sky Screamers. It's around a 5% drop rate on the Isle of Giants. After 3 days of looting the egg, it will hatch and have a 100% chance of dropping either Reigns of the Black Primal Raptor, Green Primal Raptor, or the Red Primal Raptor, and unfortunately it is possible to get the same mount twice. Next up we start with the dungeon boss mounts, starting off with one we've seen before, the Infinite Time Reaver. This is obtained from any time walking dungeon boss, so in other words it's obtained from any end boss of the dungeons while the time walking event is active. It is dropped at a approximate rate of 1%. Then we have Rivendare's Death Charger. This is dropped from Lord Orus Rivendare in Strathholm on normal difficulty at a drop rate of 0.8%. It is also a possible reward from the Call to Arms reward satchel at again 1%. Then you have Ravenlord. This is obtained from Anzu in the Sefik Halls on heroic difficulty at a drop rate of 1.6%. And again is a possible reward from the Call to Arms reward satchel at 1%. Then we have the Swift White Hawkstrider. This is obtained from Kel'Thas Sunstrider in the Magistus Terrace on heroic difficulty at a drop rate of approximately 1%. Then we have the Bronze Drake. This is obtained by defeating the Infinite Corruptor in the Culling of Strathholm dungeon on heroic difficulty. If you complete the dungeon timed event in under 25 minutes, which is basically following the NPCs and killing all the necessary bosses, under 25 minutes, which is almost impossible to fail nowadays, you'll be guaranteed to get this mount as a drop. It says 92%, but it's pretty much guaranteed if it's just you doing it. And then we have the Blue Proto Drake, which is obtained from Skadi the Ruthless in the Utgard Pinnacle at a drop rate of 0.8% and is also available from the Call to Arms reward satchels. Viterius Stone Drake. This one is dropped from Slabhide inside the Stone Core dungeon and is dropped at an approximate rate of 0.2%. Then we have the Drake of the Northwind. This one is dropped from Alterius in the Vortex Pinnacle at a drop rate of 0.3%. Next up we have the Armoured Rizashi Raptor. This is dropped from Bloodlord Mandorka in Zul'Gurub at a drop rate of 0.7%. Then we have the Swift Zerulean Panther. This is dropped by the High Priestess Kulnari in Zul'Gurub at a drop rate of 0.8%. Next up we have the Smouldering Emberworm. This is obtained from killing Nightbane in the Return to Karazhan Mythic Difficulty Legion dungeon. In order to obtain this mount, you have to collect 5 crystals hidden throughout the dungeon within a time limit. I'll do a more in-depth video at a later date on exactly how to do this. And basically, the chance of the mount dropping from a Nightbane when he spawns is 20% times the amount of people in the group, up to 5 of course, for 100%. So in other words, if you have 5 people in the group and they're all eligible, they'll all have 20% chance of getting it. If you have 5 people in the group and only one of them is eligible, they're guaranteed to get the drop. And then up we have Midnight, which is obtained from Atulman the Huntsman in the Return to Karazhan Legion Mythic Dungeon at a drop rate of 1.4%. Next up we have Tombstalker. This is obtainable as a rare drop from King Dazar in the King's Rest raid on Mythic difficulty only. This one is obtained at a 0.5% drop rate. Next up we have the Underrot Krog. This is obtained from the Unbound Abomination in the Underrot on Mythic difficulty only at 0.5% again. Next up we have Shark Bait, which is obtained from Harlan Sweetie in Freehold at a drop rate of 0.4%. Next up we have the Oil Unit R-21/X, which is dropped from King Mechagon in Operation Mechagon on Mythic difficulty at a drop rate of 0.4%. And then we have the Mechagon Peacekeeper, which is dropped from HK8 Aerial Oppression Unit in Operation Mechagon Mythic difficulty at 0.5% drop rate. As there are so many monsters that are looted from monsters, I think we'll leave it there for this one and do a second part to this episode. So if you enjoyed the first half, don't forget to punch the like button, leave a comment down below. Of course, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, link down below as always. And last thing to say, I've been XStarKillerX, and I shall see you in the next World of Warcraft video. Thanks for watching.